let's dive straight into it. I'm a slash person, to keep it in typographical terms, which means I'm wearing many different hats. And in this talk, I'd like to go over some of my split personalities. So first and foremost, I am a motion designer. I make things move, sometimes directly for my own clients, and more often in a freelance role for other studios. And then I create work like this. This is for Nike Curve Studios, which is a design studio within the Nike European headquarters. You have a 4-step creative process, which informed this 4-step swoosh, and also the type is on a 4x4 grid. Or stuff like this. This is a recent identity for Back Market. I created together with Foucault from Canada. More on this later. And these animations for WhatsApp with Hueso from Argentina. But I'm also a graphic designer when I create stuff like this, mostly for brand identities, like word marks, icons, and custom type. And sometimes I take on the role of director when I control the complete look and feel of long-form projects, such as this brand manifesto for Krielaars Bank. Don't do it that often, it's getting less and less. I'm going to show you a little bit of it.
Money makes the world go round. But let's face it, Earth will spin round in the same merry way, with or without us. Let's have a closer look. What can we learn from nature? In nature, systems are circular. A beautiful balance between give and take. There's abundance instead of scarcity. Nothing is wasted. Everything regenerates. That's why we believe in the principles of nature, rather than in the man-made illusions of money. We all are part of nature, which is why we need to transform our economy into something circular and vigorous, an economy that puts our planet first, that encourages our man-made systems to renew themselves time and time again.
That's enough of that. But my typical work these days is mostly about branding systems, such as this identity for Neurons Lab, which is an AI consultancy firm. And for this project, I did art direction, graphic design, the logo, the 3D design, and the motion, the works. And sometimes I'm also my own client. In this case, it's a very simple identity system for my co-working space in Amsterdam, which brings me to my next job title, owner of a co-working space, for lack of a better term. I run this space in the heart of Amsterdam. It's a semi-basement along the beautiful Amstel River. We're located right around there. And this is where I work alongside 7 other independent creatives. And I'm also creator of an After Effects tool. The list goes on. So this is my tool that I created. It's called Color Swap. And it allows you to search and replace colors in After Effects. And it's super handy when a client changes his mind about a color in the middle of a project, or you need to version out different colors. You can just search a color and replace it with any other hex code, or you can even swap 2 colors to make change places. It's super handy for creating different versions. And this really should be standard thing in After Effects, really, but it wasn't a standard function, so I decided to create it with a little help. If you think this is for you, feel free to grab it with some discount. And for this talk, I've been reflecting on my own work in the past decade or so, probably a bit longer, to find a common theme in my work. And I think I found it in this micro storytelling with type and motion. Micro because typically in like a logo animation, you have 1 or 2 seconds to tell a story, to connect with the audience. So you really have to keep it to the point. But within that space, you can really do a lot. And sometimes the narrative is really obvious and simple, and other times it's more poetic. Let's look at some examples. So this is for Ginetta, which is a web agency from Zurich. And their motto is, we simplify, and they asked me to bring it to life. So my solution was to create chaos in order to simplify it again. Super simple, straightforward example. And for a different project, Adidas reached out to me to bring some of their word marks to life. And these are all word marks based on technologies within their product line. So, for example, PrimeKnit in the bottom right is a 3D knitting technology that allows you to knit the upper of a shoe instead of sewing together different patches of fabric and leather. And the motion of the word mark is directly tied to the technology by having like little threads come in from all angles to weave in this type. So the story in this case tells you a bit about production process. And here's a closer look. I just animated a single pixel and then created versions that come in from all angles, left, right, top and bottom, and completed the puzzle with it. Another technology is Adidas 4D, which is some kind of 3D printing technique for soles. I don't know exactly how it works, but a sole, its shape gets pulled out from a puddle of goo. But it looks super futuristic and really cool. And you can see like the line shines through. It's a 3D mesh. The only thing is that you don't want to step in dog shit with these kind of shoes. You can throw them away. So the animation for this was also mimicking that production process with a 3D animation and then having it revolve to the 2D front of view. Another one is for Future Natural, which is all about like a really precise and snug fit. So the type is coming into place from a wide loose formation to the final tight lockup. It's kind of the feeling when you pull your laces like really nice and tight. So there's a kind of a story there about this technology. And finally, Light Strike, which are like ultra light and super fast shoes, supposedly. This one was also really fun to work on because it's such an iconic logo, the Levi's Batwing, as it's called. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. You have a washing machine, and at the bottom we have this stretch to fit kind of situation. And these were shown at the flagship store on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. And this one I showed briefly before. It's the identity system for our co-working space, which is called Staalkade 6. That's the address. The address is the name. So we have this 6 on the door, and it's a semi-basement, so you have a few steps down before you enter the studio. But the steps is also like the most, or actually the only sunny spot of the studio, so that's where we always sit and have coffee or wines on Friday. It's the social heart of the studio. So this informed the way the 6 looked, and also like how everything moves, like the type crawling over the stairs, and the transition in the middle there, and also how the logo animates. And a recent project is for Back Market. It sells refurbished tech such as phones, laptops, headphones, etc. And every brand on the market is always rushing forward to push their new, incrementally better iPhone on the market with, which is basically pretty much the same as the previous one. So this brand is moving in the other direction with a more conscious choice. So it informed the way the logo looks, but also how it behaves. And we created, together with Foucault, or actually Foucault together with me, created a whole identity system based on this principle of moving back. These are some offcuts, also around the same principle. And sometimes it's purely typographic. In this case, for the IBM Think conference in 2022, I created a whole bunch of typographic animations for them together with the Mill in London. Also some longer sequences, but these are my favorite snippets. And here's a little montage of some of the other parts. Thank you. And here's another one with a super simple and effective hook. This is Buddy, and Buddy is a platform for divers to log their dives, connect with other divers, book diving trips. It's LinkedIn or Tinder for divers. And the fun thing about this project is that there's like a super immediate and obvious hook, and it's this underwater world. Everything underwater moves in a certain really tranquil, vibey way. You have the soft swaying plants, you have bubbles that always go up, other stuff that sinks. And for this identity, I brought that tranquil underwater vibe into the digital realm with a modular type system that's informed by bubbles going up. That's customizable. These softly swaying plants that were created by an illustrator, and these wavy transitions. And with those things combined, you can endlessly create all this kind of content over and over again. Here's a little bit of that in action. Again, super simple idea, but I love telling that underwater story by just simply how text move with simple parameters of scale, rotation, and position. I love to keep it simple. And this is the last client project I want to show you in this little speed run of my commercial work. This is for DOPA, the Department of Proactiveness. And I might add, this name was picked before Doge, or whatever you would like to call the Elon Musk dystopian adventure. I don't think any brand would call himself the department of anything at the moment. But this is a podcast for creatives who want to try to avoid the dreaded burnout that seems to hit so many in our industry. And this is their logo system. And I was brought on board to bring this to life. And after some experimentation, I landed on this principle of continuous transformation. So each letter morphs into the next, never stuck, always moving. And this is what it looks like when we put it in the right formation of the logo. And with color, we get this. Also works in black and white. And when we blow it up, we get this really nice background elements that also work in color. And with a little bit of time displacement, we get this nicely flowing logo that can loop, that can animate in, that can animate out, and more to the lockup. And here it's in action as a background. So this is just a single logo animation with a bit more of a poetic motion to it, but it evolves into an entire branding system. And there's lots more applications from this project. You can see this and other stuff on the website. But this is as much as I would like to show of the stuff that I do to make money, because I'm mostly here to tell about my ongoing playground, because I love commissioned work and I love all the opportunities that I get, but sometimes you just need to create, or at least I do, without any client or creative director kindly sharing their opinion on your work. Too much of that is draining my creative energy, so I need to have this balance. And for that balance, I have another job title, and it's founder of Animography. Animography is an amalgamation of animated typography, and it's a type foundry for animated typefaces, and more specifically for Adobe After Effects. So that brings me to my final job title, type designer. Pretend to be type designer maybe. And also still motion designer, because they animate. And here are a few examples. Each character of each typeface is carefully animated one by one. And together they form this system with controllers that you can customize. And it all started with a single experiment. I think it was 2010. I have this fascination for modular systems of any kind, basically. So what I really love is this shelving system from Dieter Rams that you may know about. And I just love the fact that you can take it apart and rearrange it and put it back together again. And a better example of a modular system is Lego, of course. You can pull apart this space shuttle and create a spaceship, or even create this astronaut. So, but for my side hustle, the building blocks are these 26 shapes, letters, and they are the best modular system in the world, I think, because with just 26 building blocks, you can create any word you want, and you can capture an entire language in infinite amount of words. And I think we take it for granted, but this is an amazing system. And I wanted to add motion to the system. I wanted to add the element of time, but not like a logo animation where the entire word is a unit. I wanted to do it on letter by letter basis, so you could pull it apart and rearrange it, and then you have a new kind of logo animation for a new word. And this was in 2010, and animated typefaces did not really exist yet. So I just spent 1 week on the design and animation of a display typeface, and I posted it on Vimeo, and this is what it looks like. So I posted it on Vimeo, and normally I would get a few likes, and that's it, and then I move on to the next insignificant project. But this time it was a bit different because this happened there in not the main section, but the quickie all the way on the right. It got picked up by a motionographer, which never happened for my work, but back in the day when we were like consuming like a more curated form of content instead of being algorithm fed, this really meant the world, because even if you had a quickie on motionographer, it meant like the majority of the industry would see your work. And this snowballed into other blogs picking up Fullbiz, this Polish Adobe blog, Fastco Design, really big design blog, animated typefaces coming soon to your computer, maybe not, and even Printed Press. This is a Korean magazine, so it's quite funny, an animated typeface in a printed medium. But I wasn't used to this kind of attention for my work, so I was totally flabbergasted. And then at some point, there was a full-page feature in the Globe and Mail, which is a national Canadian newspaper, I believe. So it's not even design press, it's like a regular newspaper. I thought it was interesting enough to dedicate a full page in their newspaper on. So this quickie on motionographer and the interest that followed soon after really gave me the confidence to explore animated typefaces as a medium some more, and start animography. So when you have a modular system and you add motion, when you have type and you add the element of time, or actually when you have a typeface and you add the element of time, what it means for a grid-based modular system is rhythm. So for example, here we have an A, and it looks quite nice by itself. I can look at type just on a letter-by-letter basis and think it's beautiful, but it's always meant to be part of a bigger system and not as a single shape. And it's the same for my design approach when it comes to motion of these animated typefaces. So by itself it's a bit lonely, but in musical terms it's a single kick on a bass drum, and if we add more we can create a rhythm, and then we see this flow happening. So this is always my approach, is always to design individual building blocks that create a new flow when they are put together. And when you stretch it some more, you can create these satisfying typographic looks with lots of nice rhythm to it. So let's take a peek behind the curtain, and I must admit that I haven't tested this in the technical walkthrough, so I'm going to go into After Effects, and I just have to unmirror my screen, I think. Bear with me. There we go. So here we are in After Effects, and this is Font Manager. This is the tool that is created by a friend of mine, especially for the animated typeface format that I created in After Effects. And it looks a lot like the normal character panel. So here I have all my animated typefaces. So let's select Akuto, and here you can type your word. It already has Mouvo. And you can set things like type size, leading, and spacing, and the frame offset. And if I hit create text, nothing happens. Uh-oh, this was my worst nightmare. You know, After Effects sometimes does weird things, but that's okay because I already have some stuff prepared. I'm not going to restart After Effects to get that thing working. So normally, bloop, 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 you get these letters pulled out from a folder outside of After Effects. And you get this kind of stuff. So unfortunately, we don't get to see Akuto in action. But if we hit, we get this controller null with it. And it has these parameters that you can change, and they are different for every typeface. So Akuto is a frame-by-frame typeface, so you can also only change one color. But here we can change 3 different colors because we have these in-between things. And we can increase the stroke width, for example. And then it's changed. And you can even go into a certain character, unlink it from the main controller, and do a custom color for that single letter. So this is a quite simple simple typeface. We also have another one called Vestibro, which also has a slider for time. So the time goes here at the bottom from 0 to 100% for this animation to go from completely empty screen to the final look. And here we can also change stuff to change all the animation. And over time, when I build different typefaces, I build in more and more controllers. So this one is called Compression, designed by a good friend of mine, animated by me. So we have a 3-stage in animation happening. So when this slider goes from 1 to 100, the blocks come up. Then from 100 to 200, we get these slices. And from 200 to 300, we get this final morph. But if we take out these middle, okay, I'm gonna leave this on. If we take out these middle keyframes, we get this version in the bottom, where everything happens in one fluid motion. And I'm gonna show you some more. So this one is Zircon. And this one is a glitchy typeface. And the fun thing about this one is that there's randomness built in. So these are 2 instances of exactly the same typeface with exactly the same settings over here. But as you can see, like the top M and the bottom M are different. I can probably make this a bit bigger. And yeah, the O is different, and every glitch is unique because it's based on expressions with a random input. And I think that's a fun thing because glitches should always be different and should never be repetitive. And that's really the power that we can do in After Effects and that you can never do in a normal typeface. You have every character have its own unique shape. Even in variable typefaces, that format is so limiting. But here in After Effects, we can create with all the different tools that we have at our availability. So if we look into this controller panel, there's lots of stuff we can tweak. We can tweak things like color, obviously, the offset, how far it goes out, what else? Can have these massive blocks in it. Let's turn this up a notch. Add some particles. make them go to the right. Give this a funky color. It's pre-render a bit, of course. And that's already different. So that's what I painstakingly do in my time between projects. And if we have another look at the font manager, there's some more tabs here for stylistic alternates. There's also a make tab for creating your own animated typefaces if you're into that. So far for the live demo. Let me get back to the mirrored screen. And we're back. You can try all the animated typefaces on Animography for free. There's a free trial of everything. You can play around with it and pull it apart and play with all the sliders and buttons and checkboxes. Or if you're into torturing yourself by painstakingly animate all the characters of typeface, feel free to do so, but at least do it with a little bit of discount. There's an online course at motiondesign.school where I explain my entire process from start to finish with my design approach, animation techniques, how to create the controllers, all the little bits of code that I write, and also how to help you with all these repetitive tasks, how to animate or automate big chunks of the process for yourself. So time for a side quest within the side quest, multiple actually. It's 2013, and after a certain amount of animated typefaces that all follow the same structure, I wanted to see if I could break my own system. With type design, there's a certain continuity in the way letters look. So this is type design 101. If you have an A and you extend the stem, you have a D. If you flip it, you get a B. Flip it again for a P. Again for a Q, and it's the same with the N. You can create an H from it and flip it, you get a U, and add an extra arch, you get an M. So there's always these repeated shapes, and that's what makes type design cohesive. But design and motion do not have to play by the same rules. And it's how I've been treating all these animated typefaces is according to the same principle. If you know how the A, the B, and the D can animate, then you already know what the P and the Q are gonna behave like. But I asked myself, like, what if every character behaved different within a typeface? If we could bring back this element of surprise with every letter. And instead of animating all these different styles per letter by myself, I wanted to make something truly random, because otherwise you still would see like my handwriting throughout the whole typeface. So to really make it random, I invited a different animator for every character of a typeface. And to keep it from spinning out of control, because I'm a control freak, I set up a certain amount of 4 rules. And the first one was the duration. It was 1 second, 25 frames. There's a set 4-color palette that everyone had to work within. So it's still a bit more contained in terms of color. There was this 5x6 canvas, of course, in a template that I provided. And the animators weren't allowed to use third-party plugins, because my plan was to share this animated typeface for free in the end, and I thought everybody with the most basic version of After Effects need to be able to play with this, pull it apart, and learn from it. So it was really fun, also horrible to try to orchestrate 110 animators that you didn't pay. Everybody just hopped on it for fun. So if someone would get a really nice client project, I was the first to be dropped, of course. But in the end, I managed to get everything together. And it was so fun to get all these little presents in my mailbox every day and adding little pieces of this big puzzle. And this is how it turned out, or at least a small overview of it. And it's a successful experiment. It's wacky, it's weird, but as an experiment, it's a success because even though every character behaves different, it still feels cohesive because every character has kind of the same energy in terms of like length and space it takes up. And the fun thing was that none of the animators knew what the other animators were making. Everything was kept secret until the day of the release. And the only thing that bothered me is that there's the same animation happening in those repeated letters. So for example, if we look at designer, there's two E's that animate in the same way. And normally I'm okay with that, but because his animation is so extravagant, that bothered me, and especially if you have words where the same letters are right next to each other. So I thought there should be more to pick and choose from. So 3 years later, when I recovered from this task of orchestrating everything, I did another round, and this time with stylistic alternates. And this is what we are used to when we talk about stylistic alternates in typography. So there's one typeface that has different options for a certain character. So here we have a regular G and a double story G, and also a rounded U at the bottom without the stem. But I wanted a different kind of stylistic alternate. I want to have the same shape, but 3 different animations for each character. So this meant inviting 236 animators this time. And here's how some of that turned out. You can see all the different animations of everything on animography.net. But 3 variations of each letter meant you could really mix and match letters that go great together. And I think it's really cool what some animators are able to do, like with just one second. And so you can see here, like the Mo below, there's 2 different O's. What other letters are recurring? 2 different I's. And we also added a regular weight this time to create some typographic contrast, because if something is super big and extravagant on one end, then you need to have something bland to counter it, like white rice on a very spicy curry. You need to have this balance. And the funny thing was that while I was getting all these animations in and was putting together this puzzle again, I discovered like little subsets that go really well together. So, for example, this is I also animated a character, and I animated the A, but there was a S that went perfectly, complemented it, which was really nice, even kind of same flow. There's these bouncing balls, which are to expected when you do motion design. There's always bouncy balls. But a little more surprising were these 3 crocodiles, which is super weird coincidence. Also 3 dragons. So this is also kind of a snapshot of motion design trends of 2016 of all different animators from different studio like Buck and Elo and Ordinary Folk, etc. Some other team was Hans. And especially look at the period at the end, because that's one of my favorites. And remember, this is just 1 second, but there's a portal opening up and a hand pushing a period out, then another hand doing a fist bump, then another hand pushing it again, and then a final hand stopping it and nudging it in the final position, all within 25 frames. To me, this is absolutely bonkers, because I can do this style of animation. So there was also spooky stuff, chopped off hand, a skull, some eyes. What else was there? Oh yeah, arrows, also pretty random. Like a horse getting shot in the head. And my favorite pair is these quotation marks. Both have B's. I mean, like, what are the odds that a pair of characters that are supposed to go together both have B's in there? Really weird, but really, really lovely. These are still available for free on Animography. You can grab them, download them, and pick them apart and see what everybody did and how they approach their little bit of animation within this system. And it also turned out to be a super good marketing move, because 236 animators all posted on the same day, linking back to this project. And a lot of these animators also worked for big design blogs, and it's created a huge wave of traffic that I wasn't really prepared for. I just tried to see how I could fuck up this system. And another project is another side quest is a word a week. So the web shop was doing fine. People were buying these animated typefaces, but I rarely got to see how people use it in their work. And that was something that I was very interested in, because typefaces are always meant to be part of something bigger. I love to look at type as something in itself and drool all over it, but it's always meant to be part of a bigger layout of something. So then I got the idea to invite talented people from my network again, to create something, anything, with my animated typefaces. So there's the idea was one artist, one word, for every week for a full year with full creative freedom. So the artist would just pick a typeface from the library, come up with a word, and have fun. And I expected to get like super small snippets of animation, like 4 or 5 second loops or something. That was what I thought I asked, but I'm going to show you some examples of what people did. So this is Together by Yukai Du with a prototype face. I think this is so amazing. The texture and the vibe, and it's quite a technical typeface, really, but it goes so well with this warm, fuzzy vibe. This one is Live by Emmanuel Colombo with the Vestibro typeface. Let's watch it again, because it's so good. And this one is called Brothers by Juriaan and Marijn Hos, which are in fact brothers, with the Lovello typeface. And I just love how poetic this piece is. There's There's always a line split down the middle, dividing in it two equal parts. And they play with the settings of Lovelo to have two lines revolving around the type. So they also, in the settings of the typeface, they incorporated their concept. And a more funky one is Insane by Not Real with the Alchemito Next typeface. And yeah, it's just insane the amounts of different shots, techniques, etc. that are used in this piece. Again, I asked for something like super simple, or so I thought, but this is what they come up with. So it's really crazy because there's different types of 3D animation. There's cell animation. There's these crazy match cut. There's custom sounds. I think they spent around 2 weeks of complete studio time for just a few seconds on my Instagram channel, which is so humbling. And there's like 2 years. With 52 weeks, I just showed 4, so there's 100 more animation to discover on the Behance site, and I especially invite you to check out the animations of Elo as well, because they collaborated in both years, both editions of it, and he had really nice animations. And this is where you can find me. Online. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the talk. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me.
So, are you working still on more animated typefaces, or this is now a complete gallery on animography?
Yeah, I'm working on a new typeface, and I always have too many ideas for new typefaces to create. But to create a typeface takes so long because first you have to animate an entire type or design an entire typeface, and then animate everything. And I do this in the downtime between client projects, which is getting more and more rare these days. And also have other bits and bobs to experiment with. And family also wants to see me sometimes and not be in my bunker behind my computer all day. So it's getting more and more challenging, but yeah, I still make time to create new stuff.
All right. Have you ever got in touch or been approached by a type design studio or a type designer that they would, like their own typefaces have animated and or like maybe like collaborate on a different sets or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I started out with a few of my own typefaces, and then I really opened the door for other kinds of collaborations with other people. So I would animate typefaces that were already designed, or help a type designer and an animator create their vision, and I would just do the technical bits and bobs and market it on my platform. But in the last year or so, I kind of narrowed it down again because I was becoming more and more of a web shop owner instead of actually being creatively involved. So I've kind of pulled it back towards the one-man show again to be able to just have creative outlet apart from my client work.
I see.
So yeah, there's a lot of collaborations, and also custom animated typefaces for brands as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, is this coming quite often that the brands would love?
Not very often, like maybe once a year, once every 2 years, but it's really fun to work within the confines of established branding system and see how we can create something that's similar with the same energy within this typographic system.
Okay.
It's really fun.
Sounds great. Do we have any questions from the audience for Jeroen? Yeah, we do. Can we get the microphone here in the front?
First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. It's amazing projects and very inspiring. I want to ask a question about the DOPA project, and it's more technical maybe, but the path animation has always been a pain for every motion designer, and I'm curious how you tackled this sophisticated path animation, and was it kind of nulls that you attached to points, or was it a different, not After Effects approach?
Which part do you mean?
DOPA project.
Oh, the DOPA. Yeah, there's a trick to it. There's you have to have the same amount of points where you go from and where you go to, and there's two things you have to keep in mind. A part has a direction, so it goes either clockwise or counterclockwise. So you have to make sure that the beginning shape and the end shape have the same direction. And there's always one part point that is the starting point. So that also has to be the same in both shapes. So if you have a triangle that you want to go to a rectangle, then you have two part points exactly at the same point in the top, part going the same way, same start point, and then you get this super nice smooth curve.
Yeah, thank you. So it's very precise work in After Effects with the path.
Very precise, and I go back and forth between Illustrator and After Effects to get the points in the exact position, and then with Overlord I move between both.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Very nerdy talk, but then also you can
I'm a nerd.
you can assign, you know, like the points to the nulls, right? And control
yeah, you
them,
can
like,
also that's also true.
yeah, it's like where you end up with these discussions, right? Do we have more questions from the audience? If not, my last question would be like, what would you wish in the upcoming decade, you know, like to add to the list of your all jobs you have currently, or if you prefer, you know, like to keep it at the same level?
What I wish for the coming decade is to have more time to experiment, more hours in a day, and to be able to get these animated typefaces out of After Effects maybe. I've seen some amazing techniques also in this conference with processing and the way Algo gets their stuff outside of After Effects with different kinds of complex lolly setups. So that's been super inspiring for me to check how I can expand the habitat of what I've been doing so far and get these into other spaces.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much once again for the talk.
Okay.